Hello YouTube, it's me, and today I'm going to do a different kind of video. I'm not going to review anything, I'm not going to unbox anything or show off anything, but today I'm going to discuss something that's been on my mind for a long time now, especially because I'm on YouTube every day, and I follow like a lot of Dragon Ball YouTubers. I pay attention to the good and the bad ones. Um, so yeah, I follow, like Geekdom, uh, Quaman, Super Jaiyan, Rhyme Style, of course. Um, a lot of the big names that you think, even for Neverworld, um, which I'll have my opinions on all that in a second. But I wanted to discuss my thoughts on the Dragon Ball YouTube community because other communities, well, other Dragon Ball communities and other websites, I don't have a problem with. I love Kanzenshu. Um, the other websites I don't go on anymore. I used to go on like Saiyan Island and stuff, but I feel like a lot of the time they just pull sources from Kanzenshu. Um, yeah, the other websites I don't have too much of a problem with because YouTube is a social media platform. Those other websites don't get it, you know, a tenth of the views or the attention that YouTube does. So I'm going to discuss YouTube. First, I'll discuss my history with the Dragon Ball YouTube community. I have been on YouTube. I've had this account on YouTube since 2009, but I have been following the Dragon Ball YouTube community since around the time Tenkaichi 3 was coming out. So this is around the early YouTube days. So a year after YouTube came into existence. So 2007. I have been watching Dragon Ball YouTube videos. Um, and back then, a few years ago, you had just Storm Pal. Kagi still makes videos. This is well before Rhyme Style. And I would watch a lot of these guys like Omega 2040, um, Impulse Kid 86. A lot of these, and Mysteria Fusion. So and SS Goshen 4. She was the main reason I got into doing YouTube videos. But yeah. So that's my history with the Dragon Ball YouTube community. I've been on here for a while. I've been following all sorts of different types of videos. Even like Vegito 1089, which he does videos I'm typically not into, but I watch them out of curiosity to know other people's opinions. So because of that, I follow a lot of Dragon Ball YouTubers to know their opinion, to know their knowledge. Like Hail Zeon, I follow Hail Zeon, which is a controversial one. Super Jaiyan, um, Black and Fist, all these guys. Um, and yeah, I wanted to discuss because of what I've seen on YouTube. Um, so these are the things I'm going to discuss. Clickbaiters, purists slash elitists, dub versus sub, and music arguments. And yeah, and anything that falls in the between will somehow falls in between those four categories. Alright, first let me just get this out of the way. You can tell what kind of Dragon Ball fan I am if I tell you this. I watch Geekdom every day. Is he my favorite Dragon Ball YouTuber? Almost. I think that the best Dragon Ball videos on YouTube, period, the highest level of quality of a Dragon Ball video on YouTube is Mysteria Fusion. He has the best Dragon Ball videos. Going off of that answer, you could tell what kind of guy I am. As Geekdom or some guys like Super J probably would define me as is if if I gave further information about my fan level, they would probably categorize me as the hardcore fan. I watch the series in multiple languages. I prefer now to watch it in Japanese. been that way for a few years now, even though I still will occasionally watch it in English. I watched it in English and Japanese multiple times. I own all of the anime series, except for Dragon Ball Super. Um, I own all the manga, and that is the first way that I truly got myself into a fleshed out chronological sit down of the series is through the manga. So I own all the manga, and yeah, and I own all of the Daizenshu's and some other source books. Um, yeah, I would be classified probably not as a purist because I do like Bruce Falconer. um, but yeah, going off of that, you should probably guess the stuff I'm going to say. But clickbaiters, that is the main thing that has caused a ruckus, I would say, in the Dragon Ball community this past year. Even though it has always been an issue, this year it has been at a stupendous level of acknowledgement. Um, Now, people are asking, what is your opinion of clickbait? You know, what do you define as clickbait is a more interesting question. Because to an extent, a lot of YouTubers do clickbait, but a healthy version, a truthful, honest version of clickbait. Alright, so the clickbaiters I'm talking about that are bad to a community, and this is going towards any community, but I'm going to focus on the Dragon Ball community. If you, because, okay, alright, this is the reason, this is the true reason why, and I'll tell you right now, this is the true reason why clickbaiters a are a germ, a bacteria to the Dragon Ball community. This is what it is. Alright, let's take a big YouTuber. I'm not going to say any names, but the other day I got into an argument with a big YouTuber. And a lot of people don't like him now. I still respect the guy because I've been watching him for years, but he lies on his titles and with his thumbnails. You as a YouTuber have the right to post whatever you want, unless it falls under YouTube's terms of service. But you as a Dragon Ball YouTuber can post about, you can make a video about whatever you want. You can make the thumbnail about whatever you want. You can make the caption whatever you want. But before you do that, please acknowledge your fan base. Please acknowledge your voice. If you have, I don't know, 380,000 subscribers, and you post a video, this is the most absurd one that I've seen. This is back when Universe 6 was fresh in everybody's minds. It was the talk of the town before this Goku Black stuff. If you make a video saying Xiaobe is the first female Super Saiyan and can also turn Super Saiyan God, confirmed, mind you, no question mark, no discussion, and you put this with a thumbnail of Xiaobe with the green form, how is this problematic? This is problematic not only because you are lying, but your fan base. YouTube, a lot of people that subscribe to YouTube and get on YouTube every day, they're kids too. You know, it's not just adults, even though adults do run most of YouTube. A lot of kids get on YouTube. And when you're a kid, you don't do your backup research. Most kids don't. I know I had to work my way around. I was when I was younger, Dragon Ball AF was like the big talk, you know. And I had to work my way around that to discover, hey, a lot of this stuff is just Microsoft Paint. You know, a lot of this stuff is just Photoshop pictures of stuff from the show. And then I discovered Kanzenshu, which back then was Kanzentai, and there was Daizenshu EX and stuff like that. But most kids won't do that kind of research. So you as a big voice who has millions of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you hold the responsibility of credibility. So when you post something like that that is not true, or you jump to your own conclusion, you're lying. You're blatantly lying. You're lying to a fan base, and you're creating misinformation. This misinformation is easily done by a kid or a casual fan who does not know how to do further research of the series. They will go to your video, they'll scroll down their subscription list and see that picture of Kyabe with a green form. And your title, which says Super Saiyan God Kyabe, or Kyabe the first female. I'm going off of this example because this was the most absurd one out of all the clickbait that I had seen, even though there's a lot of them. Yes, when you do that, you are causing damage to the community because you're lying. You're literally the equivalent of Elite Star or any of these stupid magazines that people sell at liquor stores that make tabloids about celebrities that never happened and are never true. But you know what? Just like those things, the moment those things are posted, somebody out there, multiple people out there will believe it. And for some reason, false things become the truth. A lie becomes the truth instantly when you do something like this. You are not realizing what you are doing when you do this. You just think, I'm putting out a video. This is my style. This is my way of getting viewers. Why are you criticizing me? Like I said, I got into an argument with a big YouTuber about this, and they don't understand. They're not thinking. They're not thinking when they do this. And you know, maybe for all I know, they're just scum. Like maybe they are purposely doing this to get viewers because some people all they care about is viewership. So yeah, clickbait. My opinion on clickbaiters. Disgusting. You can do better. If you are watching Dragon Ball Super episode 56 and you title it as Vegeta dies, OMG, you are wrong. I understand you want to make a creative title. Don't create a lie with a creative title. Alright. Purists and elitists. What are my opinions on those? It's very polarizing because there's a negative connotation with purists, but what if you fall under that definition and you don't intend on it? What if you fall under that definition because that applies to you, but you might not share the same feelings as other quote-unquote purists or elitists? For instance, if somebody prefers the Japanese version and only the Japanese version, that's their opinion. That is how they feel. If that affects you, why? Why does that affect you? If somebody prefers the original version of a program. Though I will admit, to play devil's advocate, a lot of these elitists will look down the casual fan base. They will look down these other Dragon Ball fans who, come on, this is the truth. We all love Dragon Ball. This is why we make videos. This is why we discuss things. We all have a mutual, love for the series. If some of us might have more knowledge than others, and that's always going to happen. But that's the other side of the coin when it comes to these purists and elitists. And when you hit that territory, that's when you get dangerous, because you have to realize that this is just a show. It does mean a great deal to our lives, yes, but this is a show. We are discussing fiction. Just because somebody's way of viewing something or their lack of knowledge on something does not mean you have the right to look down on them, because you were that way once too. A lot of these guys who are elitists, who only watch the series in Japanese and look down on these other fans. Well, it is true. If you only watch the English dub, I'm sorry, you're not as much as a fan as them or me. I mean, I'm not gonna say that to be egotistical, but these same elitists came from where you were at one point. And they were watching the English dub, or they were watching the Ocean dub, which in my opinion is not that good, but some people have a fondness for it, which also has dub errors. And that gets me into my next category, dub versus sub. Now let's just get this out of the way. I, like most people, watched the anime version of Dragon Ball in English first. If you are a real fan of the series, or of any series, you will admit its flaws. Whether it be within the story, or within the things surrounding the story, such as animation issues, voice acting issues. The dub of Dragon Ball Z, the original, not the original because there's many English dubs, but the dub that was done in Texas in the late 90s and early 2000s is not a good dub. It's not, because a good dub's goal is to bring it to a wider fan base, to the English speaking fan base, but in an accurate way. There are many inaccuracies present within uh, the English dub of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and in GT, which all make me cringe to a certain extent when I hear certain lines. Can I still watch? Sure, yeah. Sometimes I go back and watch the English version just for nostalgia's sake, or if I don't feel, like watching the Japanese version. Um, but if you only watch the English dub, I will admit your knowledge on the series and just your perception on the series overall is just, it's errored, it's flawed, because there are so many dub errors in the series and so many cultural aspects of Dragon Ball being lost when it was translated into English, that it's almost as though if you put a Japanese sub fan next to a dub fan, who are both extremists, it's almost as if they love an entirely different show. And my opinion on guys who watch the sub, I don't have an opinion. I watch it in sub. Sometimes I watch it without the sub. Like when I watch my Dragon Ball Super episodes, and I could partially understand some of it. But hey, if you're a sub fan, I have nothing against you because you're watching the original version of the show with no errors, no dub errors. All right, next one, music arguments. All right, I'll admit this right now. My first exposure or first acknowledgement of the Dragon Ball music when I was a kid was Bruce Falconer, and I loved it. And I still love it to this day. I think it's good sounding music. But I will admit that the Kikuchi score is the original score of Dragon Ball, of course, and it fits the series a lot more. The importance of music, people underestimate this too much. The importance of music in a show or in a movie or anything creates the tension, the atmosphere of a show. So, for instance, my favorite OST out of all four Dragon Ball series and the movies and specials is Tokunaga's score for Dragon Ball GT. People argue about, Dragon Ball doesn't sound good without Bruce Falconer. Have you watched Battle of Gods? Have you seen Resurrection F? Have you watched Dragon Ball Kai? Have you watched the original Dragon Ball? Have you watched Dragon Ball GT? Come on. When you say something like that, it's extremely close-minded, and it really reveals that you've only watched one portion of the series. If you've only seen Dragon Ball Z, I'm sorry, you're not a Dragon Ball fan. You're not a fan of the franchise. A perfect example of when people do this and say, they don't want to watch the original Dragon Ball, is like telling a Naruto fan, start at Shippuden. You'll be completely lost about what the characters are. Well, I will admit, Dragon Ball Z has a good dividing point where it picks up that. It's still not good enough. If you only watch Dragon Ball Z, it's not good enough. I'm sorry. A lot of us were exposed to that. But you have to understand that that is half of the story. Or even, with Dragon Ball Super and GT, now it's literally just a portion of the entire map of the Dragon Ball series. Like, you watch Dragon Ball Z, it's not enough. It's just, I don't know how many times I can say it. You can say this about any series. It's the same logic. I will not tell somebody. That's like telling somebody start with season 3 of something, of any show. No, that is not what you do. Come on, this is logic. Why would you start with Dragon Ball Z? I think I know why. Because, and this gets even more specific, a lot of the casual fans, uh, specifically those of the English dub, their exposure to the series, much like most of us, was an eye catch. We scroll through channels or we're watching something and we see these blonde superpowered guys flying up in the air with lightning around them and fire around them, and they're fighting. Action. People associate Dragon Ball solely for its action and say that the action and fighting in Dragon Ball is the number one reason why it is what it is today. And I disagree completely. You are not a real fan if you only go for the fights. This can be said about anything. Unless you're watching wrestling, you know. But Dragon Ball has never been just about fighting. It is literally a martial arts show. And if you watch any martial arts movie, or at least with me, I enjoy the story that comes out of a martial arts flick. It's stupid to say that I just like watching a bunch of guys just fighting and beating the mess out of each other with no plot. And that is one thing you will hear out of a lot of these casual fans. Dragon Ball doesn't have that much a strong story. It doesn't have a plot. No, what are you talking about? Watch the series the way it was meant to be seen. Read the manga, and you will get a sense as to the real plot. The characters, the depth in the characters, in the story. It's not a perfect story. It's not the deepest story, but there is depth there. Why would you say that? And that's one thing that really, really upsets me. But one kind of thing that nobody ever seems to mention is that these same fans, these very same ones, these very same fans perceive Dragon Ball as this extremely dark and gritty and apocalyptic show where Dragon Ball has had dark themes in the past, and right now its current arc, the Goku Black arc, is on the darker side, but Dragon Ball has never been a dark show. It is still to this day not a dark show. Goku Black killed Bulma. Has killed most of humanity in Trunks' timeline. But is Dragon Ball Super a dark show right now? No! Let me explain why. Dragon Ball has always been a dramatic show. There's always been something dramatic going on. Take, for instance, one of the earlier, bigger scenes in Dragon Ball. The death of Bora. The death of Kuririn. These are dramatic scenes that pull you into the show. And the atmosphere is sad. But is the show sad? No, because we have Goku. We have somebody is always there, or the characters are always there, that has a symbol of hope or cheerfulness. There is always a comedic aspect to Dragon Ball that keeps it from being this dark and gritty show. The colors of the show even make it as such. If you're still not understanding what I'm saying, let's take something, for instance, as Dragon Ball Absalon, which is a fan-made animated continuation of Dragon Ball GT. I respect the guy. Like I said, I respect anybody who has a love for Dragon Ball. But if you enjoy Absalon, I really do feel that your appreciation for the series is very, very one-dimensional, because Dragon Ball Absalon is very, very dark. It's gritty. It's a different type of series. It doesn't even feel like Dragon Ball. It's not Dragon Ball. It doesn't have any of the Toriyama flavor to it. It has just these guys, these enemies that always are, about to come up to you and want to kill you or want revenge or something like that, and then Goku and Vegeta are fighting for their lives, and they have to go into the Super Saiyan 5 level, which is an overcomplicated design, and the atmosphere is dark, and there's always some darkness going on, something extremely dark, and there's no comedic aspect to it. There's no, like I said, there's no Toriyama flavor. There's nothing. If you like that sort of thing, that's fine. But that is one thing I have noticed with the Dragon Ball community, with that specific type of community. And yeah, and a lot of time you can group that with the English, with the English W's, as some people call them. Well, that's some of my opinions. Some of the stuff I honestly have felt that other YouTubers have not spoken out directly about. So that's why I made this video. I'm sorry it is so long, but it's a lot to talk about. Before I go, shout out to Geekdom 101 for inspiring me to do this video, and all those other YouTubers like Kwame that have made the discussion about clickbait. Have a good day.